Hey, what's up guys? UrAvgWarGamer is back with another video of World of Warships, and today's topic is about the players who want to get their first gold ship. In this video, I will try to explain what is the best gold ship that you can pick for yourself at especially tier 9, because first of all, the reason why I would recommend you guys to pick the tier 9 ship for coal resource is because, well, it's going to be earning the highest credits per battle, and that is very important if you are trying to grind out your tech tree lines alongside playing really good premium ship at tier 9 while earning a lot of credits. So that is the key factor in picking up your first gold ship pick. I mean, you can pick tier 10s or tier 8s. There are some variants of tier 10s that are actually good, but at tier 9 you will definitely going to find some good battleships, cruisers, and even destroyers, which I will help you guys to recommend for your first gold ship. So if you do find this video useful and valuable, please give me a subscribe, because that will help me a lot as a content creator, and I will be making more videos like this in the future. And obviously the coupon is coming next month and you might be thinking your first gold ship, so this guide will help you a lot. Okay, so now in the armory, these are the currently available ships for coal, and I would recommend one destroyer, one cruiser, and one battleship. I mean, totally depend upon your playstyle. If you want to get a destroyer, well, here is my recommendation. And I will also going to give you one more important point, that if I'm picking a ship from all of these coal ships, it has to have really decent game impact, because when you have a decent game impact, you make sure to win more games and also earn more credits per battle, which is very important if you are picking your first gold ship. And also if you are really want sort of enjoyment by getting your win rate higher and also dealing great damage, well, this must be then your first gold destroyer pick, and in my opinion it has to be the Groningen. Okay, so here it is, the Groningen, my recommendation for your first gold destroyer. And now why I am recommending this, because first of all, it is available for 180k gold, so it is definitely cheaper compared to two more ships, which is the Black and also the Nustrishimi. Now Nustrishimi and Black are really expensive, and well, Groningen gives you a lot of value for coal and also give you really good game impact, like for example the case of Black or Nustrishimi. So that's why I am recommending you the coal ship like this. And now let's come up to the factors and also the reasons why Groningen first. Now look at the artillery. The guns that you have on this DD has absurd DPM, really good HE DPM. 265k DPM means that it is actually rivaling to that of tier 10 destroyers. Like at tier 9 you get tons of firepower, really good fire chance. In my case, you have 9% fire chance, and if you have a captain like this, the class Jensen, which you can by the way get it for armory, it is a seasoned commander which have improved demolition expert, which gives 1.5% fire chance. And with this absurd reload time of 1.5 seconds for 4 of these guns, you have a fire chance of 10.5%, which is absolutely ridiculous for a tier 9 destroyer. I mean, you go and check out the fire that you can set on battleships. It is absolutely crazy. This is the biggest upside, that you can farm battleships like crazy with your absurd DPM. You can already see the DPM gets improved with my build. Obviously, I have fully and crazy build for Dakka, like gun performance. I haven't used the concealment build, but if you want to use the concealment, you still have 6.4 kilometer, which is the only downside of the Groningen. And obviously the lack of speed boost is also one of the things that you might face. And these are the things that Groningen felt short. And obviously you don't have torpedoes. But if you do not want a ship that has torpedoes, but having way more firepower, that you can kill battleships easily with these guns and also take down destroyers, and by the way having the hydro and also the anti-CV sort of firepower, like you do have defensive air fire with actually having anti-air defense at tier 9. I'm not joking when I'm saying that you can actually shred tier 8 carrier planes. You go and figure it out. If you really hate aircraft carriers, you basically, with this entire defense numbers, which is tier 10 cruiser entire defense numbers for a destroyer, you pop the entire defense with really good base stats and you will see the carrier tier 8 planes especially will definitely gonna take down very easily, something that is very rare on a destroyer. So you get a lot of perks alongside with a hydro, which is 5 km. So if someone with your American smoke, these are smokes that last for a very long time. So if there is someone that spots for you, this is one condition for the grenade gun. If someone will spot for you, which is maybe some carrier planes, maybe there might be a cruiser, maybe battleship, maybe your fellow destroyer. If he spots for you, maybe there's a Jaeger, your division mate. If you are playing with another destroyer player, you smoke up, he is pushing, and you just use this absurd firepower. Yes, you don't have torpedoes. This is one very important thing. I'm not recommending you a destroyer which does, I would say, have smokes. Oh, sorry, the torpedoes. It does not have tops, but it is so good in gun performance, and it is so reliable that you will be amazed by its performance from its guns and also its fire chance. It is absolutely crazy. The only thing that grenade gun suffers is your concealment. Your concealment is around 6.4 km, but it is still not bad considering it has really good gun performance, right? And if enemy destroyer dares to push you and you able to spot him, even though he has better detect, you can kill him very fast, like really fast. So the game impact comes from you killing battleships, you killing destroyers, and also farming cruisers if you have any opportunity. And also, you are a good deterrent to aircraft carriers. So you do have so many upsides for some downsides like the torpedoes and also lack of speed boost. So these are the things that I would say are nothing like crazy bad compared to the upsides that you have in this TD. So I would say highly recommending this ship for a newer player if you do not understand how you utilize the torpedoes correctly. And I would say sometimes you can even beat out these higher expensive sort of destroyers like the Nustrishimi and Black. They do have a lot of interesting perks that might rival compared to the grenade gun itself, but grenade gun for that cheap of a cold ship is definitely worth it, in my opinion, as your first ship. Alright, so after the first cold destroyer, if you want to pick battleship instead of any other class, there are two ships, not one, two, but you have to pick one from these two ships, the Kearsarge and the Iwami. Now, the reason why I am giving you a choice is because the Kearsarge is a hybrid battleship and it's a bit interesting, a lot much more having game impact compared to the Iwami, which I will definitely gonna recommend you. But if you have played aircraft carriers, if you know how to use planes, the Kearsarge become more obvious choice. And also if you have played North Carolina, which is a tier 8 tech tree battleship, you should pick Kearsarge for coal first. Okay, so if you met these two conditions, if you have played aircraft carriers, well, you have to play a part of aircraft carriers in this ship. In a battleship, you have planes that actually are tier 10 levels, and the damage is also absurd. And I'm telling you, if you have played aircraft carriers and you have used the rockets, you will actually going to get a lot of damage from these planes alone. These planes are really hard hitting. These have 15 rockets that you find on a tier 10 aircraft carrier midway. Instead, you do have almost double the payload. That's insane. You have so much firepower from these aircraft rockets that if you drop on a target, I can tell you that you can get sometimes 20,000 damage in a single drop. And you have these planes coming almost 2 minutes later. Every 2 minutes, you will have these planes ready. 5 of them, as you can see here. You have 5 planes and these rockets hit like an absolute truck. You set tons of fires and then comes to a part where you have to utilize the guns. Now, one more thing. If you have played the North Carolina, which is a tier 8 tech tree battleship, then you should really think of playing Kearsarge because these guns have floatier shells. You might not really like these guns first. This is something that you have to really understand for yourself. If you have played North Carolina guns, go and try out North Carolina first before playing Kearsarge, because you might complain that I do not like the shell performance because these shells are slow. But I can tell you these shells do hit hard with their really good alpha. So that is entirely different thing. But figure it out, the guns from a tier 8 tech tree battleship North Carolina, if you felt that you are comfortable in playing that battleship, then Kearsarge will be so much obvious choice compared to the Iwami. Now if you take a look at the AP, you do have high reload time at 36 seconds, but you do have really good Sigma 1.9, which basically defines the shell grouping, the tighter shell grouping of the shells. And you can also slot for the American battleships this artillery plotting room mod 2, which improves the dispersion further, which is unlike any other tech tree battleship. So this gives you very, very good accurate volleys, but the shells are floatier. This is something that I will give you a disclaimer that play North Carolina first if you are thinking of buying a Kearsarge. And I'm telling you, the game impact of the Kearsarge is really high, even higher compared to the Iwami. And also you have to play it like a sniper long range battleship, where you do not, like I would say, stay in the mid to close range around 12 to maybe 13 to maybe 8-7 kilometers. This is not designed for that, because you do have a big gigantic tumor of a superstructure. Like, this is very important. If you play it and push in this battleship, you are going to die very quickly. This is the biggest thing that I might have to say that you have to be very careful of, because if you play it close range, this armor is so bad from this area. At long ranges, it's going to be very good, and you can utilize these guns at long ranges around 18 kilometers to 15 kilometers. You will be very comfortable. But the moment you push and there are ships that are permanently spotting you, you have to kite away, because this armor is not reliable because of this. But the armor is reliable at long ranges without a doubt. You do have 38mm deck armor, which bounces basically every battleship AP, and also shatters a lot of cruisers' HE shells. So it is reliable, but not at close ranges. Okay, so play the Kearsarge if you are comfortable with playing North Carolina and the carrier planes. If you're able to do that, this is a monster, because you spot the destroyers with the help of the planes, which you cannot do that in any other battleship at tier 9 or even at tier 10, unless we are talking about the hybrids, which are very far and few. So I would recommend the Kearsarge, but if you are not a fan of this giant tumor of a superstructure and the guns, then there is a really balanced sort of recommendation, which will be from this Iwami, a Japanese battleship which is, unlike Kearsarge, has less HP but still have really reliable guns, having better reload time at 24.6 seconds, and you do have really good guns, really good alpha, have really good sigma parameter. It has 2.1 sigma parameter, but overall the dispersion is gonna be roundabout similar to that of Kearsarge, because it does not have access to that dispersion mod, but you do get the reload mod, which is, I would say, a trade-off. Kearsarge get better dispersion overall, but Iwami is pretty okay because you do have higher sigma value instead of having more tighter dispersion compared to the Kearsarge because of 6th slot. So the guns are really good. You overmatch 27mm cruisers like in the case of Kearsarge, so there is no problem in that whatsoever. Obviously you struggles in tier 10 because that's a problem that you have to face when playing tier 9s. Again, this is sort of a disclaimer that you're playing tier 9s, then you might have to face tier 10s, but this is the reality. If you want to earn more credit, then you have to play tier 9 ships. But this tier 9 is not bad at all. You do have decent armor. You have 50mm deck, which means you shatter pretty much almost all the cruiser shells, except for the cases of Yoshino that have like higher caliber guns, like battle cruiser guns, like 305mm guns or above. They can definitely pen your deck, unless there might be Hindenburgs or maybe the German cruisers that have a lot of pen on their lower caliber guns. That's where the Iwami suffers, but the guns will do the job. You do have for a battleship torpedoes, which can be very handy because you can send them and they can clip to a target randomly, something that is extra, which I kind of like about the Kearsarge. You have decent range, decent gun performance, as I have already said, decent concealment. If you build it for concealment, you can go around 13 kilometers, which is not bad for a tier 9 ship. And unlike Kearsarge, well, you do not have that gigantic tumor of a superstructure, but you also do not have access to planes. So it is a plain, simple, balanced battleship. Not really something that is comparable to, I would say, the Kearsarge itself, because Kearsarge is another type of beast which, if you have experience in two things which I have already said before, then you should pick that ship first. If not, then this is a lot balanced pick, and I would say compared to the other battleships ships like the Pommern or the Marco Polo, I would say this is definitely slightly better pick, and it will earn you more credits because it's a tier 9 ship. And then I would say you should pick it. I mean, if there are destroyers, you will suffer. This is the reality of playing battleships. Unlike Kearsarge, that can some sort of counter against destroyers with the help of planes, and also your anti-defense compared to Kearsarge is actually worse. Again, Japanese ships tend to have bad anti-defense or very mediocre, and this is something that you have to face in this. In the case of Kearsarge, obviously you will have better anti-defense, slightly better, but that does make some difference, shooting down more planes compared to the Iwami, which will struggle against carriers. So if this is what you wanted, a Japanese battleship, really good gun performance, accuracy, I mean, Iwami would be a very nice thing. So I mean, we do not have a lot of options for a tier 9 coal ships that earn you a lot of credits, but if there are some options, I have given you 2 recommended battleships. Alright, so for the cruisers at tier 9, I have 2 recommendations. Now, the Tulsa might be the first one that I might pick, because if you played Des Moines, if you have played a tier 10 Tech 3 heavy cruiser Des Moines itself, Tulsa might be a good choice because it has to be played a bit aggressive and you do have more game impact. Kearsarge for a battleship does have really good game impact with the planes and the guns. Tulsa have a game impact with the guns, and you can use islands as cover like the Des Moines. It's kind of like the tier 9 mini Des Moines, and you can see here you do have a counter, a really good counter against destroyers, really good radar duration of 46.2 seconds, only 9 kilometer detection for a radar, but it is very effective. But in return, your concealment is also pretty good, 9.5 kilometer instead of, I would say, 10.9 or 11 kilometer that you find on a Tech 3 tier 10 cruiser Des Moines. So that is something that you get in Tulsa. Obviously your HP should be low and your guns are only 6 of them, but here's the thing that I would say they have really make kinda nice on this ship, that they have given a destroyer dispersion. It not used to have that destroyer dispersion on the cruiser guns, unlike Des Moines. So with the destroyer dispersion, only 6 shells, you can still manage to land quite a lot of them thanks to that buff that they have done recently, and that's why you are going to get a lot of value from these guns itself. These are Des Moines guns, they hit hard, they have decent TPM, AP, improved pan angles. I mean, if there's a cruiser that is broadsiding around 10 kilometers or maybe even light cruisers at around 13-14 kilometers, you will do a lot of damage. And HE shells, really good fire chance, really good reload time. You cannot go wrong with Tulsa. If you have played Des Moines, this has to be your first pick after they have buffed the cruiser caliber guns with the destroyer dispersion. So tighter dispersion overall, which I would say pretty nice for these 6 guns. And I mean, something that I kind of like, that you cannot play it at around like long ranges, because well, your armor does not really support that. You can see here it's 27mm, and we do have a lot of battleships like 406mm guns that do overmatch, and this is not designed for even playing at long ranges because the range is very limited. And that's why if you want to play around the islands as cover, if you have played Des Moines first, this is very important. This is also the condition that I will give you, that if you have played Des Moines, then you will be liking Tulsa more. Otherwise it can be very rough, because if you are not using islands as cover, and if you are not using that island mechanics where you can stay unspotted and someone spots the battleship for you behind the island that you are behind and then farm them in return, then this will work wonderfully. A lot better than even the Aegir, which is going to be my second pick, but a safer pick because, well, it is a lot tankier. Now in this case, Aegir, if you want to pick this ship, you do have a lot of armor, 90mm side armor, which is pretty nice for a tier 9 cruiser. Also you do have 30mm deck, which means that you are not going to be overmatched by 406mm guns. Yes, you do have a superstructure that can be sometimes spent, but most of the time if you are not broadsiding and just angled like tightly, you can see here that this armor will work well compared to, I would say, another contender, which is the Azuma. But Azuma is a pure pure long range farmer. It's not supposed to push, unlike the Aegir, because Aegir still does have armor and also it does have torpedoes, unlike Azuma that does have really good HE shells. Okay, it does have really good HE shells, which might make you tempted to play, because I mean you will set more fires and you will do more damage with the HE shells, but AP on the Aegir and the HE is still pretty decent regardless. Yes, the alpha is definitely low, 3600 alpha only compared to the Azuma's 5100 or something like that, but still it will do just fine. And there are many reasons why Aegir should be your pick. Couple of reasons why Aegir is actually good compared to the Azuma, if not with its HE alpha, is because you do have one of the best torpedo protection for a cruiser at this tier. 37% torpedo protection is something that you do not find on any cruiser at tier 9. That is very absurd. And then you have really good HP, 62,850, and also you do have something which is Hydro, which again helps you a lot when you are pushing and trying to spot those sneaky destroyers that are behind the islands or in the smokes, something that Azuma will absolutely struggle. Yes, Azuma does get the spotter plane, but Azuma does not get anything else like that. Yes, you also, by the way, in Azuma does have improved healing, like you have extra heal and also having very fast cooldown time on the heals itself, but the problem is, the reason why they have given this sort of healing is because this armor is very, very bad. 25mm bow overmatched, 27mm bow and side armor and deck, it's not tanky. 380mm guns you can bounce, but most of the time at tier 9 you will be facing 410, 403mm guns, whatever the caliber it is. It has to be something that overmatches 27mm, okay? And there might be 430mm guns which you cannot do anything even in Aegir, but Aegir somehow managed to get that side armor that you can actually bait the battleship's shells that hit on this area, and if you are angled you can bounce. But obviously on broadsides you will take huge damage. It does have a big citadel like the Azuma. Azuma does have more, I would say, vulnerable citadel than the Aegir, but I would say Aegir will be, I would say, slightly more tankier in this department. Also you have torpedoes, good anti-defense, something that I really like about the ship, but I would say overall it is more tankier. With battlecruiser dispersion 2.05 sigma, you will actually going to have really good dispersion overall, so you will not going to face any issues whatsoever. I mean, Azuma also have that similar parameters, like really good accuracy, but Aegir also have pretty much similar. Only the difference is the guns. You do have less alpha on HE, but I would say even then, with this performance that you get overall from the whole ship and the ability to push, unlike Azuma, I would say it's gonna be more reliable and worth it more. The concealment is actually, by the way, similar. In the case of Azuma, you also have like 11.9-ish kilometer. I didn't build it for concealment, but it should be around that much, like that of Aegir. So I will end the video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you get some value, and if you do have any questions, you can always let me know in the comments. And obviously, once we have the coupon, you might be picking a tier 9 or maybe even tier 10 gold cruiser, battleship or carrier, maybe a destroyer. Please let me know what are you thinking at the moment and why are you considering playing any ship, or what are the strengths that make you think you should buy that. So take care guys, and peace out.